This is a Wild Games Production podcast.
Hey folks, it is the Evil DM here, back with another episode of my Just Thinking here, I guess, channel? I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, I'm here just to do an update for this week. We're getting closer to 1,000, so that's a good thing, right folks? And everybody's enjoying the videos. I've been releasing some audio podcasts from Dead Winter, some of my audio podcasts that I do daily here on the YouTube channel. Hopefully you're enjoying that. But I just want to talk a little bit about today. When was the first time that you started playing games and you saw that friends of yours that didn't know you played caught you playing the game? And I remember a story. It kind of triggered a story back when I was in my teens. And I was playing D&D, and there was, the great Joe DM, as we call him on the Roll for Initiative podcast, was my DM. We met him in the park, and we used to play D&D. And there was a gazebo in the park where we would play D&D all the time. And we'd sit there, we'd have our characters, and at that point we were playing our our Immortals campaign. And he had some class that I don't recall ever seeing in D&D, but it was a higher base class than the Immortal box set, the gold box set for basic D&D. And he called it Mandarins. I've never heard or seen anything about those ever again, except for when Joe brought it up. And it was supposed to be a higher class of Immortal Godhood, whatever. But anyway, we play those characters and we, weave stories. We sit there for hours on hours. And I remember this one dude who I didn't go to high school with, but I went to high school with his brother. He used to always make fun of us for playing D&D. And this was the 80s, back when it wasn't cool to play D&D and you were nerds. And he was a former D&D player because we found out later on. But anyway, he saw us and he looked at us. And I remember seeing him later on and he said to me, he goes, "Oh, I saw you in the park playing D&D with Joe, name, whatever. And how embarrassing was that?" And, I really felt embarrassed about playing D. And that was the first time in my life that I've ever felt embarrassed about playing something that I enjoyed, from a video game to anything. I mean, I play things all the time, read comic books, whatever, still do it to this day. Heck, I still, as you can see back here, wrestling, Star Trek, there's comic book stuff back over here. There's stuff all over the place here in my room, my whole man cave up here, that I enjoy to this day. And I remember when you couldn't enjoy these things out in the open because you were treated like garbage or you were treated like second-class citizens. Now, these days, it's well accepted and people do that. And my generation, I'm Generation X, obviously, we are the ones that are still supporting the comic book things and most of the gaming things. Yes, the younger generation, Y, whatever they want to call themselves, are the ones playing the new edition of D&D, and it's wonderful. I mean, I really enjoy seeing all these people super powered up about playing D&D and enjoying their time playing D&D. But with that said, I don't like the fact that they're really stuck on what's in the book, and that's it. And then if you don't follow what's in the book, they kind of get pissy at you, and it's not how the game is played. Now, obviously, there's rules lawyers and there's people who like to, follow the book directly. I guess it's the same thing as rules lawyers. But I'm the type of person that likes to think outside the box, likes to just play a game and enjoy, relax. We do this to escape. Like I've always said on everything on my channel, it's your world, your rules, your story. You play how you want. That's how I play D&D. But while you can now sit around and play D&D with no issues, remember when we couldn't play D&D I remember when I brought home D&D for the very first time and I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I'm playing D&D and I had the red box, Menser box, the red box first book, and I was reading that, And my mom saw that, and she didn't say anything at the time, but I remember later on, as I went through playing D&D with my various friends, some of them which were older, because, I mean, there was a bunch of people that always played it, but they were always a little bit older than me, and I would talk to them on the phone, and I know my mom would hover in the background listening, and I remember one time she heard us on a conversation. I was talking about this campaign where my guy was trying to collect all these crystals to save the world from this demon, and he had to actually go to hell with his, his character. My character had to go to hell, and he had to go to these kind of like gems that held souls in it, and he had to smash it. And of course, my mother had heard that, and the next thing I know, I was getting the whole conversation about, well, we have a priest in our family, and he said that playing D&D is very satanic, and I've looked through those books while he was speaking to me, and I could see there's satanic stars and everything, and I had to sit down and explain how D&D was actually played, and what I did, and I remember her saying, well, you attached to your character, because he said once you get to a 5th level character, you're so attached that when he dies, that you lose your mind. And I said to her, Mom, first of all, look, here are my characters, and I had a stack of them. I said, I have so many characters here that they die, I just pull another one out and I play the game. I said, I don't really care like that. It's just a character. It's on a piece of paper. Yeah, you enjoy playing that character, and you enjoy sitting there with your friends, but it's just a character. It's a piece of paper, and that's all it really is. Yeah, it has a backstory, has a personality that you make up. You enjoy it, but you know what? We wrote so many characters up with the son of and everything that I didn't really care at that point. So that was my one and only real snafu with D&D, other than being embarrassed in the park by that friend's brother, I should say. And I told him, I was like, when he confronted me, back to that stupid story, yeah, I'm rambling a little bit, but who cares? Back to that story, I told him I enjoy playing D&D. It helps me relax. I don't care who I'm playing with. If you want to think of me as a stupid nerd, then you go ahead. I don't care. I said, you're like 6 years older than me. He was well out of high school, so what do I care what he thought? If he wants to think of me as a nerd because I didn't want to play soccer that day, or I didn't want to play softball with him that day because I wanted to sit in the park and play D&D with my friends, screw it. That's what I did. I didn't really talk to the guy much after that anymore, and didn't play any games with him as far as softball or soccer, but he was older than me, so that's expected. He went off to whatever he did in life, and I went off to what I did in life. I continued along the path of this geeky nerdum stuff, playing video games, playing role-playing games, and reading comic books, because that's fun. I like to escape. I mean, I have real-life work constantly, a manager, and that stuff sometimes is stressful in the IT world, so I like to relax a little bit. My wife supports it fully and smiles seeing that I'm passionate about something, and this is something I'm passionate about. So tell me about your first times and your experiences and what troubles you've had. I'd like to hear it in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification so we know new videos are coming up, and we'll be hitting 1,000 before you know it. So keep it original, keep it old school, and good night, everybody.